The alarm bells screamed through the corridors of the exploration ship New Dawn as it drifted through the empty darkness of space. Captain Blake Williams rubbed his tired eyes and checked the scanner readings one more time. 3 months they had been searching, following every lead, chasing every ghost signal. 3 months since little Tony Rodriguez disappeared when pirates attacked his family's transport ship. "Captain, we got something," called out Lieutenant Maya Johnson from her station. Her voice carried that mix of hope and caution that everyone on the ship had learned to recognize. Too many false alarms. Too many broken dreams. Blake moved to her console, his boots echoing in the quiet bridge. Outside the viewport, stars scattered across the black like diamonds on velvet. Somewhere out here, an 8-year-old boy was either alive or dead, and they were running out of time to find out which. "What you got, Maya?" "Weak distress signal, sir. Really weak. Coming from that asteroid field near the red dwarf star." She pointed at the display where a faint blip pulsed like a dying heartbeat. "Could be debris from the attack." Blake nodded to his helmsman. "Take us in nice and slow." As they approached the asteroid field, the ship's sensors began picking up scattered metal fragments. Pieces of hull plating drifted past their windows like metallic snow. Then they saw it, a strange crystalline ship, broken and dark, tumbling slowly between the rocks. "That's not human technology," whispered Dr. Tasha Brown from the medical bay. She had joined them on the bridge when the alert came through. "Never seen anything like it." "Life signs?" Blake asked. Maya's fingers danced over her controls. "Two? No, wait, that can't be right." She looked up with wide eyes. "Captain, I'm reading 2 life forms, but one of them is human. A child." The bridge fell silent except for the humming of the ship's engines. Blake felt his heart skip a beat. "You sure about that reading?" "Running it again now." "Yes, sir, definitely human. Child-sized. And something else, something I can't identify." Within minutes, the rescue team was suiting up. Sergeant Rico Davis led the way as they carefully entered the damaged alien vessel. Their helmet lights cut through the darkness, revealing corridors made of some kind of living crystal that still pulsed with faint colors. "This way," Rico called through the radio. "Life signs are stronger down this passage." They found them in what might have been the ship's medical bay. A small creature, no bigger than a human child, lay motionless on the floor. Its body looked like it was carved from clear crystal, with veins of soft blue light running through it. The light was so dim it was almost gone. But that wasn't what made them all stop and stare. Floating in a bubble of shimmering energy above the creature was Tony Rodriguez, the missing boy, unconscious but clearly alive. "How is this possible?" Dr. Brown whispered as she ran her medical scanner over both figures. "The child should be dead. No air, no heat, no protection from radiation. But his vital signs are perfect." Rico knelt beside the crystal being. Up close he could see it was breathing barely. "Doc, this thing, it's dying." "Both of them are connected somehow," Dr. Brown said, studying her readings. "This energy field around the boy, it's coming from the creature. It's been keeping him alive." They carefully moved both survivors back to the New Dawn. As Dr. Brown worked to stabilize them in the medical bay, the crystal being's eyes opened. They were like looking into pools of starlight. "Please." It whispered in a voice like wind through leaves. The universal translator struggled with the alien language. "Small one, safe." "The boy is fine," Dr. Brown assured it. "What happened here? What are you?" The creature tried to sit up but was too weak. "I am Zar. My people. We are Kethmari. We found small human, floating alone. Could not leave child to die." Over the next few hours, as Zara slowly regained strength, the full story came out. The Kethmari were a peaceful people with the ability to share their life force with others. They had been fleeing from the hegemony, a military empire that was hunting them to extinction. "We detected distress beacon," Zara explained, the translator making her voice sound hollow. "Small human in escape pod. My captain." She changed course to help. "New hegemony would find us." Whole crew agreed, innocent life more important. Blake felt a chill run down his spine. "Your whole crew died to save one human child?" "Was right choice," Zara said simply. "I used my life energy, kept small one safe until help came. Nearly too late for me, but worth sacrifice." As the New Dawn turned toward Earth, carrying its precious cargo, none of them could have imagined how this single act of alien compassion would change everything. Dr. Tasha Brown had seen a lot in her 15 years as a space medic, but nothing had prepared her for what her scanners were showing. The crystal being called Zara was barely alive, her internal light systems failing one by one. Every few minutes, another part of her crystalline body would go dark. "How long has she been keeping the boy alive?" asked Captain Blake Williams as he watched the readings over her shoulder. "Based on these energy patterns, 3 months. Maybe longer." Tasha shook her head in disbelief. "She's been slowly dying to keep Tony in perfect stasis. Her people don't just share life force temporarily, she's been giving him pieces of her actual lifespan." In the bed next to Zara, 8-year-old Tony Rodriguez slept peacefully. His vital signs were better than most healthy adults. Meanwhile, the alien who had saved him was fading away like a candle burning down to nothing. Zara's eyes fluttered open. The starlight in them was dimmer now. "Small one, he dreams good dreams?" "Yes," Tasha said gently. "He's dreaming about his family. About Earth. Thanks to you." "Tell me about his people," Zara whispered. "Are they kind?" Blake pulled up a chair beside her medical bed. "Something about this dying creature's sacrifice demanded respect. Some are. Some aren't. Like most species, I guess. But Tony's family, they're good people. His mother is a teacher. His father repairs starships. They've been searching for him every day since he disappeared." Zara's crystal body pulsed with a slightly brighter light. "Good. Children should have families who search for them." "What about your family?" Blake asked quietly. "Did you have anyone?" The alien was quiet for so long that they thought she had fallen unconscious again. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely audible. "I had nestlings. 3 young ones. The hegemony found our hidden colony 6 cycles ago. My mate, my children, they died protecting others who escaped." The medical bay fell silent except for the soft beeping of monitors. Tasha felt tears building in her eyes. This creature had lost everything and still chose to sacrifice her life for a human child she didn't even know. "Why?" Blake asked. "Why save him when you'd already lost so much?" Zara turned her fading gaze toward Tony's sleeping form. "Because he was alone. Like my nestlings were alone when the end came. No child should die alone in the dark." Over the next few hours as they traveled toward Earth, Zara told them the full story. Her ship, the Crystal Wind, had been carrying the last survivors of 12 Kethmari colonies. 400 beings, all that remained of a species that once numbered in the millions. "We had good hiding place," she explained between labored breaths. "Asteroid field near Dead Star. Hegemony ships never looked there. We were safe." But then they detected Tony's distress beacon. A human child, alone in a damaged escape pod, drifting toward certain death. The Kethmari captain had called for a vote. Decision was unanimous, Zara said, and for a moment her light brightened with what might have been pride. 400 voices. All said same thing. Save the small one. They knew changing course would lead the hegemony right to them. They knew it meant death for everyone on board. But they also knew they couldn't live with themselves if they let an innocent child die when they had the power to help. Captain Vera, she was wise leader. She said, "If we become too afraid to save one child, then hegemony has already won. They have made us like them." The attack came just hours after they rescued Tony. Zara had barely managed to get the boy into a biostasis field before the hegemony warships opened fire. She watched through the crystal walls as her people died, as her ship broke apart, as everything she had ever known scattered into space. "I thought I would die quick too," she whispered. "But then I saw Small One's face. So peaceful in the stasis field. And I thought, maybe I can keep him safe a little longer. Maybe rescue will come." She had drifted in the wreckage for 3 months, slowly feeding her life energy into the stasis field, keeping Tony alive while her own body shut down system by system. Every day she grew weaker. Every day she expected to fail. Many times. "I almost let go," she admitted. "Pain was very bad. But then I would think, what if help comes tomorrow? What if I quit one day too soon?" Dr. Brown checked her readings again. The crystal being's life signs were dropping steadily. "Zara, you need to stop sharing your energy now. Tony's stable. You need to save what's left for yourself." But Zara just smiled, an expression that somehow translated perfectly across species. "Already gave too much. Cannot take back. But is okay. Small One is safe. My nestlings, they would be proud of their mother." As Earth grew larger in the viewport, Captain Blake made a decision that would change everything. He activated the ship's emergency broadcast system and sent out a message to every human colony, every Earth government, every news network in the galaxy. The universe was about to learn what happened when someone sacrificed everything to save a human child. The message from the new dawn reached Earth at 14:32 Greenwich Mean Time on a Tuesday that would be remembered forever. Within minutes, every news network across the planet was broadcasting the same incredible story. An alien species had sacrificed their entire remaining population to save one human child. President Angela Davis was in a budget meeting when her chief of staff burst through the door. "Madam President, you need to see this right now." The footage was grainy, transmitted across light years but clear enough. 8-year-old Tony Rodriguez sleeping peacefully in a medical bay. Beside him, a dying crystal being named Zara, her light fading as she explained what her people had done. "They knew they would all die," Captain Blake Williams reported from space. 400 souls. The last of their entire species. But they couldn't let a human child die alone. President Davis watched the video 3 times before she spoke. When she did, her voice was steady but her hands were shaking. "Get me the Secretary of Defense. Get me the heads of every space agency. Get me the United Nations on emergency session. Now." But the government wasn't the only one reacting. The story hit social media like a lightning strike. Within an hour, it was the most shared content in human history. The hashtag #SaveTheKethMurray was trending in 47 languages. In Detroit, factory worker Lisa Thompson stopped her assembly line and gathered her co-workers around her phone. "Look at this," she said, her voice breaking. "This alien lady, she died saving our kid." The factory floor fell silent as they watched Zara's interview. Big tough guys who built Starship engines had tears in their eyes. By the end of the shift, the entire plant had voted to donate their overtime pay to whatever rescue effort came next. In a small town in Texas, farmer James Rodriguez, no relation to the rescued boy, just sharing a name, was feeding his cattle when his daughter ran out from the house with her tablet. "Dad, you gotta see this. There's aliens and they saved a little boy and now they're all dead except one." James watched the story unfold on the small screen. When it finished, he looked out at his land, at the cattle, at everything he'd worked for his whole life. "Darla, call your mother. Tell her we're selling the farm." "What? Dad, why?" "Because that little crystal lady spent 3 months dying to save one of our kids. And I ain't gonna sit here doing nothing while the rest of her people are still out there getting hunted." Similar scenes played out across Earth. In London, a banker quit his job and enlisted in the Space Navy. In Tokyo, a grandmother who'd never been off-world started organizing supply drives. In Sao Paulo, children emptied their piggy banks to donate to alien rescue funds that didn't even exist yet. The president's emergency address came 6 hours after the first broadcast. She stood at the podium in the White House, looking directly into the cameras that would beam her words to every corner of human space. "My fellow humans, today we learned something that should humble us all." When faced with the choice between their own survival and the life of one human child, an entire alien species chose to save our child. They didn't know Tony Rodriguez. They didn't know his family. They just knew he was young and alone and in danger. She paused, letting that sink in. 400 beings gave their lives so one 8-year-old boy could come home to his parents. Today I am announcing that the human race will return that favor 10,000 times over. Every Kethmari still alive in this galaxy is now under Earth's protection. Not just our protection, our family. The crowd in the White House briefing room erupted in applause, but the president wasn't finished. "I am authorizing Operation Guardian Angel, the largest military and humanitarian mission in human history. Every available warship, every transport vessel, every resource we have will be dedicated to finding and protecting the surviving Kethmari people. We don't care if there's 5 of them left or 5,000. We don't care if they're hiding on the other side of the galaxy. We will find them and we will keep them safe." Admiral Vincent Lee, the head of Earth's Space Forces, stepped forward. "Madam President, we're talking about going up against the hegemony. They're not some pirate gang, they're a military empire that's conquered dozens of systems." President Davis looked at him steadily. "Admiral, they made one mistake. They hurt people who saved our child. I don't care if they've got 1,000,000 ships. I don't care if they've conquered half the galaxy. They picked a fight with the human race and they're about to learn what that means." Within hours, recruitment centers across Earth had lines around the block. The space shipyards that had been building cargo vessels suddenly switched to warships. Factories that made consumer goods started producing weapons and medical supplies. But it wasn't just the government responding. Regular people were stepping up in ways no one expected. Restaurant owners started feeding military families for free. Teachers began offering free classes on alien languages and cultures. Scientists volunteered their time to study Kethmari biology and needs. In a small apartment in New York, retired Marine Colonel Diana Washington watched the president's speech with her granddaughter. The little girl looked up at her with serious eyes. "Grandma, are we really gonna save all the crystal people?" Colonel Washington had served in 3 wars and seen more than her share of terrible things. But she'd also seen what humans could accomplish when they truly cared about something. "Yes, baby girl," she said, reaching for her old service phone to call some friends. "We're gonna save every last one of them." Captain Rico Martinez had been hunting pirates for 12 years, but this was different. His battle cruiser Vengeance cut through space toward the Outer Rim territories, following intelligence reports about Kethmari survivors. Behind him, a fleet of 30 human warships spread out across the sector like a net, each one searching for the crystal beings who had sacrificed everything for one human child. "Contact on long-range sensors," called out Lieutenant Maya Chen from her station. "It's faint, but I'm picking up Kethmari biosignatures from that moon orbiting the gas giant." Rico leaned forward in his captain's chair. 3 weeks they'd been searching, following every lead, chasing down every rumor. So far they'd found empty hideouts and cold trails. But this felt different. "How many?" he asked. Maya's fingers danced over her controls. "Hard to tell through all the interference, but maybe 200? They're deep underground." The moon looked dead from space. No atmosphere, no plant life, just gray rock pitted with craters. But as their shuttles descended toward the surface, thermal sensors picked up artificial heat sources beneath the ground. Sergeant Diana Brown led the landing team into what looked like natural caves. But as they went deeper, the caves became tunnels, then corridors carved from solid rock. Emergency lighting strips glowed dimly along the walls, powered by some kind of crystal technology. "Hello," Diana called out in the Kethmari language they'd all been learning. "We're humans. We're here to help." The response came as whispers echoing through the tunnels. Fear. Confusion. These people had been hiding so long they'd forgotten what hope sounded like. They found them in a vast underground chamber, huddled together like refugees from a nightmare. 237 Kethmari, their crystal bodies dim with hunger and exhaustion. Children pressed close to their parents, too scared to make a sound. An elderly Kethmari stepped forward, his crystal form flickering with age. You are the humans who seek us?" "Yes," Diana said, removing her helmet so they could see her face. "We've come to take you somewhere safe." "Safe?" The old one's light pulsed with bitter laughter. "Nowhere is safe from the hegemony. They have hunted us across the galaxy. Why would you risk their anger for us?" Diana knelt down so she was at eye level with the Kethmari elder. "Because one of your people gave her life to save our child. Her name was Zara. She kept a little human boy alive for 3 months while she slowly died. We don't abandon people who sacrifice for our families." The chamber fell silent. Then one by one the Kethmari began to glow brighter. Not all of them had known Zara personally, but they all knew the story. In their culture, such a sacrifice was the highest honor. "Zara? She was my sister's daughter," whispered a middle-aged Kethmari. "We thought she died with all the others on the crystal wind." "She did die," Diana said gently. "But not before she made sure Tony Rodriguez got home to his parents. And not before she told us about your people. About what the hegemony has done to you." The evacuation took 6 hours. Human medical teams treated the malnourished Kethmari while transport ships prepared to carry them to safety. But as the last shuttle was loading, alarms began screaming across the human fleet. "Hegemony battle group dropping out of hyperspace," shouted Maya from the bridge of the Vengeance. 12 heavy cruisers and a dreadnought. Captain Martinez felt his blood turn to ice. The enemy ships were massive, built for conquest and destruction. His own fleet was designed for search and rescue, not major combat. "All ships, prepare for battle," he ordered. "Transports, get those Kethmari out of here. We'll buy you time." The space battle that followed would be studied in military academies for decades. The hegemony ships expected an easy victory against the smaller human force. They didn't expect the fury they encountered. Commander Troy Washington's destroyer took a direct hit but kept fighting, its crew working through smoke and sparks to keep the weapons firing. "They killed Zara's people," he shouted over the intercom. "They don't get to finish the job." Lieutenant Colonel Andre Davis led a desperate boarding action against a hegemony cruiser, his Marines fighting room by room through alien corridors. They trained for months specifically for this, learning hegemony ship layouts, studying their weapons and tactics. But the real shock came when the hegemony admiral tried to contact the human fleet commander. The translation came through crystal clear: "Humans, withdraw immediately. These creatures are our lawful prisoners. You have no authority here." Rico's response was broadcast on all frequencies, ensuring every ship in both fleets heard it. "Admiral, let me explain something to you. Those creatures are under Earth's protection now. which means you just declared war on the human race. How's that working out for you so far? 3 hegemony ships were already burning. 2 more had lost main power. The dreadnought itself was venting atmosphere from multiple hull breaches. The battle ended when Captain Lisa Rodriguez, Tony's aunt, who had volunteered for the mission, managed to disable the dreadnought's main weapons array. With their flagship crippled, the remaining hegemony forces retreated into hyperspace. As the smoke cleared, the rescued Kethmari watched human crews working to repair battle damage. They saw medics treating wounded soldiers who had risked everything to save them. They felt, through their empathic abilities, the genuine love and determination that drove these strange mammalian beings. "Why do you fight so hard for us?" asked the Kethmari elder as Diana helped him onto the transport ship. Diana looked back at the battle-scarred human ships, at the crews who had faced overwhelming odds without hesitation. "Because that's what families do," she said simply. "And your family now." The rescue at Kepler Station was just the beginning. Across the galaxy, human fleets were hunting down every Kethmari survivor, fighting anyone who tried to stop them. The message was spreading through the underground networks, whispered in a dozen alien languages. Earth had declared the Crystal People under their protection, and they meant it. 5 years had passed since the day everything changed. Tony Rodriguez, now 13 years old, stood on the observation deck of the orbital station above New Christhaven, watching construction crews put the finishing touches on the planet's newest city. Half the buildings were made from traditional human materials like steel and glass. The other half were grown from living crystal, glowing softly in patterns that meant home and safety in the Kethmari language. "The memorial gardens are ready for tomorrow's ceremony," said Zara, appearing beside him with that silent grace her people were known for. She was fully healed now, her crystal body bright and strong, though she still bore faint scars from those 3 months of slowly dying to keep Tony alive. Tony smiled up at her. Everyone said he was tall for his age now, but Zara still seemed to tower over him with her elegant crystalline frame. "Mom says half the Earth government is coming for the dedication. And Dad's bringing that old video camera to record everything." "Your parents are good people," Zara said, her voice carrying that musical quality that all Kethmari had. "They raised a child worth dying for." It was an old joke between them now, though Tony still felt a flutter of emotion every time she said it. The therapy sessions with Dr. Kevin Johnson had helped him deal with the survivor's guilt, but he'd never quite gotten used to the idea that an entire species had risked extinction to save him. Down on the planet's surface, the city of New Hope bustled with activity. Human children and young Kethmari played together in parks where earth flowers grew alongside crystal trees. The sight never got old for Tony. Kids from 2 completely different worlds, treating each other like the most natural thing in the universe. "Ambassador Williams wants to see you," Zara said, checking the communication device that looked like a piece of living jewelry wrapped around her wrist. Ambassador Diana Williams had been Earth's first official representative to the Kethmari people. She was tough, smart, and had the kind of no-nonsense attitude that came from 20 years in the military before she became a diplomat. They found her in the council chambers, reviewing reports with Elder Kevin, the Kethmari who served as their people's leader. Maps and star charts covered the walls, marking the locations of human and Kethmari settlements across this corner of the galaxy. "Tony, good you're here," Diana said without looking up from her documents. "We just got word from the outer colonies. The last hegemony holdout forces surrendered yesterday. Admiral Lisa Davis is bringing the war criminal transport ships in for trial next week." Tony felt a chill. Even after 5 years, the thought of the hegemony still scared him. They were the ones who had tried to wipe out Zara's people. The ones who had hunted the Kethmari across space like animals. "Does this mean it's really over?" he asked. Elder Kevin's crystal form pulsed with what Tony had learned was satisfaction mixed with sadness. "The killing is over, young one. Justice will be served. But the scars? Those take much longer to heal." Diana pulled up a holographic display showing population numbers. "We've managed to locate and rescue over 18,000 Kethmari survivors. They're scattered across 12 worlds now, all under Earth protection. The species will survive." "More than survive," added Elder Kevin. "Our young ones learn human languages alongside our own. Your people's children study our crystal singing and energy-sharing techniques. We are becoming something new together." Through the chamber's crystal windows, Tony could see a group of human teenagers working with young Kethmari to build some kind of art installation. They were laughing and arguing in the way kids do, switching back and forth between English, Kethmari, and the pidgin language that had evolved between the two species. "The integration is happening faster than we ever hoped," Diana said, following his gaze. Your generation doesn't see the differences that worried the adults. To you, Zara isn't an alien, she's just Zara. That was true. Tony barely remembered a time when Kethmari hadn't been part of his daily life. His best friend Rico was half human, half Kethmari, one of the first hybrid children born after the species learned to share genetic material through crystal technology interfaces. There's something else, Diana said, her tone becoming more serious. The Galactic Council has officially recognized the Human-Kethmari alliance as a major power. They're asking us to help mediate disputes between other species. Tony raised an eyebrow. Because we proved humans will fight to protect other people? Because you proved that two completely different species can become family, Elder Kevin corrected. That is rarer than you might think in this galaxy. A soft chime indicated an incoming transmission from Earth. President Angela Davis appeared in hologram form, looking older but still carrying that same determined energy she'd had during the crisis. Diana, Kevin, good to see you both, she said. Tony, how are you holding up, son? I'm good, Madam President, Tony replied, still feeling awkward when one of the most powerful people in human space asked about his day. The memorial dedication tomorrow is being broadcast across all human worlds, President Davis continued. 16 billion people will be watching. They need to see what their sacrifice accomplished. They need to see that it was worth it. After the call ended, Tony and Zara walked through the city streets as the sun set over New Christhaven. Human vendors sold food from stalls next to Kethmari energy weavers creating light sculptures. The air hummed with conversation in a dozen languages. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if your people hadn't found me? Tony asked. Zara was quiet for a long moment, her crystal body shifting through thoughtful color patterns. I wonder what would have happened if we had not been brave enough to try, she said finally. If we had been too afraid to change course, too scared to risk ourselves for a stranger. They stopped in front of the memorial that would be dedicated tomorrow. It was a massive crystal structure that seemed to grow from the ground like a tree, with human names and Kethmari symbol songs carved into its surface. At the base was a simple inscription in both languages. From one act of love, two species became one family. The universe is a better place because your people were brave, Tony said quietly. Zara's form brightened, and through their bond, something that had developed during those 3 months when she kept him alive, Tony could feel her deep contentment. The universe is a better place because your people remembered how to be grateful, she replied. That is perhaps even rarer than courage. As they walked home under stars that now shone on both human and Kethmari worlds, Tony realized that the scared little boy floating alone in space was gone forever. In his place was someone who had seen what was possible when different people chose to care for each other. The galaxy was watching and learning and maybe, just maybe, becoming a little more like family too.